All right, my friends, welcome back. This is going to be part 120 of my presentation on the flood and Noah's Ark. And we're going to continue on with the sightings that is on Mount Ararat. Now, if you'll notice on the screen here, this is a map that I have previously showed you before. Now, if you'll remember the last video, we were talking about that Russian expedition that had quite a detailed eyewitness testimony about what they saw. And I mentioned this gentleman by the name of Bill CROUSE. Bill CROUSE, that he used to do a lot of research on Mount Ararat, but has come to the conclusion that it is not on it because of his research, and that he believes it's on Mount CUDI. And so if you'll notice at the bottom left-hand corner, that's where he believes that it's at, 200 miles southwest of Mount Ararat. Now, I got links in the description below to articles that he and a guy named, I believe it's Stephen D. Anderson, he at least joined in, tag teamed on with him on doing some articles. But Bill CROUSE is convinced that because of certain evidence and historical evidence, that the Ark is out Mount CUDI. And one of the links that I give you is a downloadable PDF format, and it's about 23 to 26 pages long. And so if you want to learn more about that, guys, check that out. Check that out. I just recently found out about that article. And so that's one reason why I don't have a lot about this in this presentation. It's because I'm on a timeline, guys, and so I really kind of want to finish up this presentation by a certain date, and so for what it's worth, the links are below. Now, what I did is I did download his PDF format to have on my file. I do want that information, and so, but he's did several articles for, I think he did 2 articles for creation.com magazine, and so I get an email from them from time to time with articles, and one of those articles was from Bill CROUSE, and so that information is in the description below. And so for those of you that are serious about learning more about this and what he has to say, check that out. Check that out. But I did talk about in the last video how he has supposedly found out that the Russian expedition was a hoax. It wasn't real. It was fabricated. And so now, guys, I'm just going by what he has stated. That's all I have to. I don't have nothing else to go by. I don't have any other evidence to show that it was fabricated. Just his word. Just his word is all I have. The only thing that I will say is, is he really, is he saying that just because he thinks it's on Mount CUDI, and so he's trying to down that area? And I tend to see a lot of folks do that. They believe it's somewhere else, so they really hammer on all the evidence that's bad about another area. And so for whatever reason, I'm not saying that's the man's motives or anything, but it just, it would give him more credibility, I guess you could say, if he was neutral, just completely neutral, and just somebody researching the background evidence on these locations. And so, but for what it is, if I was looking at another location and somebody was saying that there was evidence on another location, I'd probably do the same thing and say, I'd look at the evidence and point out all the negatives about it. And so, that's just, that's, I guess that just comes along with research. And so, but I don't know anything about Bill CROUSE. I have no background on him whatsoever. And so, but if creation.com magazine has allowed him to do some articles, or they're promoting an article that he did, they must be at least pretty confident in that what he's saying is true. And so, for what it's worth, guys. And so I don't want to split hairs and break fellowship with people over the location of the ark. And so, but going on, we're going to be talking about the Ararat anomaly on the northwest side. We're going to be coming back to that again. And you got the Hora Gorge there, and then you got the Ararat anomaly over to the right, and just a hair. It's not going to be right on the edge. It's like right on the edge of the Hora Gorge, and on this one here, they're stating that they believe that it's broken up into three pieces. But if you'll notice, right above that big picture there, you got over on to the right, it's got Greater Ararat Summit going to the right. It's got an arrow pointing it. So looking at this picture, I'm guessing, from what I'm understanding, that the Greater Ararat would be to the right of what you're looking at here. And then the Hora Gorge is going to be towards the left there. The bottom left, you got the actual photograph. And then the right, you got the artist's touch-up. And so, which they're at least insinuating there that it looks like there could be some type of structure that's there with the beams and stuff and walls and what have you. And so, but let's look some more at this Ararat anomaly. It says in 1974, during a private meeting with William Colby, director of the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, I asked if he was aware of the claimed sightings of Noah's Ark. He said he was not. After summarizing several sightings, I stated that a dangerous and expensive search for an object with profound international importance could be done safely and cheaply with technology Colby controlled. Perhaps the CIA already had information in its files that could help in this search. Weeks later, I was contacted by a man I will call HS. He said that Director Colby asked him to see if any information could be provided. In our discussion, HS asked many questions. About a year later, he called to say his work was completed and to invite me to CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia. In his office, HS said he had examined all photography of Mount Ararat region. He could not be sure if an object he was seeing was the Ark or a rock. I asked HS if, after studying the information on various claimed sightings, he thought the Ark was on Ararat. He said yes. I asked why. Because he had just told me that no photographs clearly showed the Ark. HS responded with obvious reference to many consistent but unverified claims of Ark sightings. There is too much smoke for there not to be fire. I had great confidence in his analytical rigor and candor. Suggestions that any agency of the U.S. government would or could for long withhold conclusive evidence that Noah's Ark exists are implausible. Okay, going on, it says here, Insight on the News, November 20th, 2000, Anomaly or Noah's Ark, Timothy W. Meyer, and then it gives the pages there, asked 7 diverse photo analysis to independently study the available low-resolution photographs. 2 analysts said it was likely a rock. 4 said it could be a man-made object, and 1 called the evidence inconclusive. Some factors considered were shape, dimensions, shadows, color, surface texture, thermal characteristics, nearby snow and rock patterns, and possible movement of the object. This is probably not the Ark because it has too little in common with most credible sightings, especially its specific location on Ararat. Nevertheless, whenever the Turkish government gives permission, an expedition can go to the location of the Ararat anomaly. And then he gives the location of it there, and dig into the ice. Unfortunately, the Kurdish rebellion in eastern Turkey and the Turkish military's tight control have prevented access to important areas on Mount Ararat. And so, as I've stated before, it just seems to be such a hostile area there. But this right here is from In the Beginning, Dr. Walt Brown. Outstanding book. excuse me, you can get this online. You can get this online. I think you can view it for free. If I remember, I will put a link in the description below. And so, but I did purchase mine from online. Mine is a downloadable thing. And I tell you what, I love having that in my computer library and the files that I can reference from time to time. Outstanding book. But this is the information that Walt Brown had in his book about the Ararat anomaly. And but going on, you've got, I've showed you this picture before, and this is the location again where it is supposed to be at in 3 pieces. And I got the dots there, those little dots, those red dots for where each location is supposed to be. And but if you guys just want to pause this and glean some information from it, but the north slope of the anomaly contains symmetrical prongs, which are too linear, some experts say, to be a rock. If the anomaly is the arc, it could look like this. And so, again, for what it's worth, that's just what they're showing. And again, these pictures here, you know, they're black and white photographs. It's really hard to make out anything. But I will say it does seem to show those prongs seem to be in a symmetrical type of pattern. And so, you know, it is interesting. Going on, the CIA calls the object the Ararat anomaly. It was first photographed by a fixed-wing aircraft in 1949, the previous information that I've already showed, and later by a U-2 in 1956. Satellite photographed it in 1973, 1976, 1990, and 1992. Some low-resolution 1949 photographs have been released to the public thanks to the efforts of law professor Porcher Taylor. In 1999 and in 2000, private funds paid for the best private sector satellite, IKONOS or IKONOS, to photograph the object at a resolution of 1 meter. Some CIA photographs had a 6-inch resolution, enough magnification to see a soccer ball from space. So, evidently, they've got the technology to find out if this thing's real or not. Why it's not been done? I don't know. Maybe they have the photographs, you know. I keep hearing, well, they don't want other countries to know, you know, how advanced our technology is. You know, again, there's the frustration there. And so now, Dr. Carl Ball had a team in 1990, late August expedition. They went out and flew over the area and got this photograph here. And what he said was it cost them $90,000. There you go. I've talked about that, how it just seems like there's folks willing to take $1 from you if you're willing to fly up there, even if they believe it or not. You know, they say, yeah, I'll take you up there. And so they were flown in a Russian helicopter with a Russian pilot. They were able to fly in the area 11 times. No artifacts were collected. They were not allowed to land. They didn't allow them to land. But they did get this photograph here, and that they were told that it was 12 feet long and 4 feet thick. 12 feet long and 4 feet thick. That's pretty big. Dr. Ball stated that debris could be seen further down this area. You can see where debris had kind of broken off and fallen down. But he did say that the military and satellite information determined the object was made of wood. It was made of wood. And so, for what it's worth, guys, that's the information that I have on this photograph here. Now, James Irwin here, the astronaut, he supposedly is credited for this photograph here. This one taken here. Now this one here, guys, it's when I saw it, I mean, I was like, wow, this is incredible. This is some incredible stuff. And I'm going to point out some things. Now, if you'll notice here, the picture again, the resolution on the two above is not as good as the ones below. And but if you'll see, they've added the lines there, which they believe could be the actual the shape of it. And I'm going to show you what I've seen also. But again, this is another photograph of it to the side there. Is it possible? Is it possible? And I have that Russian expedition, the photograph here of what Jacob, whatever his name, Chushian, what he said he saw late 1800s, early 1900s. That now, is this possible? What he did see? Could it be that in this photograph here, the door is actually on the other side, and so the door is missing? Looking at it from this angle, but could it be on the other side of the ark? If this is the ark, and if this is where the door is, and so, but you know, for what it's worth here, this is supposedly, if you look at that picture there, the drawing, the artist rendition of it, this is supposedly what that picture to the left is. And so, again, for what it's worth, that's what this right here. We're going to continue on with this picture, though. I'm not done with it. Now, going back to Ed Davis's, what he said he saw, and you got Dr. Don Patton and Don Shockey. Now, Dr. Don Patton is the one that met or attempted to meet that NAMI, N-A-M-I group that supposedly had hoaxed that one site. And so Dr. Don Patton agreed to meet them out there just to let me see what you saw. And they never showed up. And so, but for what it's worth, that's him there. And then you got Don Shockey over to the right there. But Ed Davis is the one right there in the middle. And this is right here is what Ed Davis said he saw. Ed was taken to the Ark in 1943 as a part of an adoption ritual to the Kurdish family one warm summer. And Ed had saved the life of one of the Kurdish leader's sons. And so as a thank you, they did this for him. They took him up there as a favor. And so this is what he's stating that he saw. And going back to his testimony, he says that suddenly the fog lifts and the sun breaks through a hole in the clouds. It is a very mystical sight. As the light shimmers on the wet canyon, my Muslim friends pray to Allah. They speak quietly and very subdued. After they finish praying, Badi Abbas points down into a kind of horseshoe crevasse and says, "That's Noah's Ark, but I can't see anything. Everything's the same color and texture." Then I see it, a huge rectangular man-made structure partly covered by a talus of ice and rock, lying on its side. At least 100 feet are clearly visible. I can even see inside of it, into the end where it's been broken off. Timbers are sticking out, kind of twisted and gnarled, waters cascading out from under it. So it's very detailed description of what he saw. It's so hard for me to believe that the man didn't see what he's saying. It's just it's so detailed. And so again, he did say everything is the same color and texture. And if you look at that picture, guys, it looks like it's all the same color. It's all the same color. I will admit that. It's all the same color. Is that what he saw? Is that what he's seeing there? A U.S. Naval Lieutenant, J.G.A. Chappelle, we talked about him before, saw what Ed Davis described while flying an F-4 jet to investigate the area due to others thinking it was a Soviet-made defense installation. The area that Ed saw, they were thinking that maybe it was just it was really a defense installation by the Soviets. And so, but the painting here was done by Alfred Lee, who met with Ed Davis. And so he painted, and Ed Davis said, yep, that's what it looks like. So what you're seeing in this picture here is what Ed Davis said he saw. Viewed from approximately 100 yards away, due to weather conditions being bad, Ed used army glasses to look through. And he says, Abbas points down the canyon, and I can make out another portion of it. I can see how the two pieces were once joined. The torn timbers kind of match. Inside the broken end of the biggest piece, I can see at least 3 floors, and Abbas says there's a line space near the top with 48 rooms. He says there are cages inside as small as my hand, others big enough to hold a family of elephants. I can see what looks like remains of partitions and walkways inside the bigger piece. I really want to touch it. It's hard to explain the feeling. He goes on, it takes 5 days to get off the mountain and back to my base. I smell so bad when I get back, they burn my clothes. And no one seems to be interested in what I saw. So I quit talking about it. But I dream about it every night for 20 years. There's something up there. And of course, he did get a polygraph test, and there's the information about the polygraph tester. And he did say that was back in 1989. I can't tell you what mountain Ed was on, or where the boat is, or even whether or not it was Noah's Ark. But I can tell you this: he's not lying, and he did see a boat on that mountain. And so, for what it's worth, guys, now here's some other photographs. And if you notice down towards near the bottom left hand of this picture here, you can see a green arrow pointing to something. And this is a close-up of it. And it looks like that there's debris on top of it. Notice where the arrow is. It looks like right there's debris on top of something. And this is it there, without the lines. So let's go back with the lines, and then without the lines. Is that what Ed Davis saw? I'm not sure. Here is the artist's rendition of that. And so going back to the picture again, and then coming back, I'm not sure. And then you got the 4 photographs I previously showed you. And what's really neat is that George Hagopian's description of what he saw when he was 10 years old, 1908 and 1910, there was a large gaping hole in the roof, and green moss was on top of it. U.S. Air Force General Ralph E. Havens, we've seen that. We have photos of that. It looks just like that very object. It looks just like that. It's on a ledge. When they saw it back then, you see the windows. Now, George Hagopian stated that there was a staircase that when his father and him saw it, the staircase was up higher off the ground because they believed that there was snow and ice that was once higher, and someone had added stairs onto it so they could get on top of it. And so, but he had to be lifted by his father to the staircase just to get up on top. I mean, if that is the case, Garrett, guys, that must have been just an incredible experience. But you got those windows there. Notice the windows there. And so now on the picture made by Alfred Lee, Ed Davis said he saw, this is what he saw, those windows going all the way down. Again, we see those windows. That's what's shown here? Now, what I did is I blackened in the areas that looks like window openings. And so here is another shot of it. And I'm going to go back to the other one there. You see, what I did is I drew lines all over this, guys, of different features that I'm just, for what it's worth, these are just features that I'm seeing that I drew lines on to try to make some sense out of this. And then going back to the one without the lines, just the window openings, That's without it. That's just the window openings there, and then without anything. And so let's go back with the window openings and then without. It looks like there are symmetrical spaces ever so often, and you can see right through it to the other side. That's just what it looks like, guys. I don't know. That's just what I'm making this out. This is what Ed Davis said that he saw. And now, going back to Bill CROUSE, this is a picture that Bill CROUSE shows. Now, it says here, during World War II, several more stories surfaced about pilots seeing large black rectangular objects on the mountain during flyovers. Some of the pilots may have been telling the truth when they described large barge-like objects on the mountain. Ararat is a volcanic mountain. Given the right shadows and lighting, large blocks of basalt can be seen mistaken for a ship-like object. There are several genuine photos of these phantom arcs, some of which are quite striking in appearance. And so he says they very much look legit, but they're called, he calls them phantom arcs. Phantom arcs. And that was one that I just showed you just a few minutes ago. And if you'll notice, he's got more of a high resolution of that photograph there. And guys, for what it's worth, you got the high resolution picture above and the one below there. It seems to be the exact same object there. And he's stating that that's no more than just basalt. It's no more than just basalt. And I will say, if you'll notice the top one with the arrow pointing to it, notice the color of it. That light, looks like a light brown color. Now go to about the middle of the page and you'll see that again. There's some more of that light colored color of to it. Is that just some more basalt? I don't know. But it's the same color. It's the same color. And so for what it's worth, guys, this appears to be that. And so, is it not? Is it basalt? Is it the arc? I tell you what, that stuff on top of it that looks like it has a symmetrical pattern to it of possibly long rectangle windows. Golly, I would really like to see a zeroed in photograph of this area here, just to make sure. But wow. And talk about a phantom arc. If that is true to be nothing more than basalt, boy, I tell you what, that is one of the best, the best phantom arcs that I've ever seen. And so, but we'll stop right there, guys. And when we come back, we are going to continue on with the with the Ararat sightings with Ferdinand Navarra, and a expedition, a trip that he took with his son, Raphael. And we're going to talk about that and hopefully finish up with Ararat with this next video here. And I believe I can. I believe I can finish up with it. And then after that, we're going to get into Ron Wyatt's location down in the valley. But you guys take care. I love you. And make sure you check out those links. All right? Bye-bye.